Tell us, Ken, how was your day?
The experience was very good, very informative, as Nathan said.
Very motivative kind of thing.
So this is the first time we've done this. So this is where we are trialing. This is our pilot group. We have brought them out for a month. They're third and fourth year students, plus we have a master's student. And the idea is that we actually, instead of just learning the system in Australia, that gives them an opportunity to learn a system outside of the country. Not only that they be experiencing and sharing elements of work, but also mingling and exchanging ideas with their peers. So a large part of this is also the exchange, the informal exchanges that's been happening over lunch, over coffee, and over future hikes and events.
ألف شكر لمن نظم وألف شكر لمن نفذ. فإذا كما شاهدتوا هو كان المبادرة الأولى كانت من الجانب الأسترالي. رح نعرف ضيوفنا، لكن قبل ما نعرف عنهم بهمني أقول للوفد البرازيلي بأنه عندنا ترجمة بالبرتغالي، فيهم يتابعوا باللغة البرتغالية على السماعات الأذن. ورح ينضم من بعد ما نتعرف على ضيوفنا كمان عندنا مبادرة من الوفد البرازيلي اللي وفد برئاسة سيادة المطران إدغار ماضي من البرازيل. رح ينضم لنا لاحقا بس يخلصوا الزملاء على المنبر الأستاذ جوزيف فرانسيس، وهو رئيس جامعة أونيسوز في ساو باولو، كمان لحتى نطرح الأفق الممكن نتعامل فيها مع أمريكا اللاتينية من أجل توسيع جسور التواصل ما بين المنتشر اللبناني والمقيم في لبنان. بأي حال معنا على المنبر حاليا أستاذ جوزيف حرب. Mr. Harb is the founder and managing director of the Avium Group of companies established in 1998, a development, engineering and construction firm that partners with institutions and the private sector and specializes in property development, engineering services, project management services and construction. دكتور كيتي طنوس شفتوها على الفيلم، هي كانت الكوردينيتور. دكتور طنوس, she is a professor of economics and finance at Western Sydney University. She holds a master in applied finance and investment along with a diploma of financial planning and in applied finance and investment from Securities Institute of Australia. وفي معنا أحد اللي شاركوا يلي هو مستر أنتوني بجاني. He is currently majoring in finance and management at Western Sydney University. He recently spent 6-month internship at King's College London for a student exchange program and 1 month and more in Lebanon. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much. Sorry, we'll just let Joe here get a little bit comfortable, and he's going to start this off. Yes.
Good afternoon. Your Beatitude, I want to first say we express our gratitude for being able to speak in your presence. Dr. Salim Sfair, Most Reverend Fathers, distinguished guests. Again, we thank you for allowing this segment to happen, as this forum is about the youth. And I think after listening to the last 2 days, it's really good to get a student perspective or a youth perspective on this forum. It's becoming clear that that education is the imperative for Lebanon. We wouldn't be able to put this group together if we didn't have the support of Dr. Salim Sfair at WPF, Bishop Antoine Chadboul-Tarabay and the Marinate Diocese of Australia, WPF Australia, Bank of Beirut, Bank of Sydney, Western University of Sydney, the Holy Spirit University of Kaslik, and of course the students. In March of this year, Dr. Sfair visited Australia. At an event, he launched this work experience program where he announced that we will get 50 students to come and work and experience in Lebanon. At first, when we heard it, it sounded like it was about an awareness program for the students to come and work in Lebanon and experience the culture, and then in future years they'll come back and invest and work here. I think being at this forum, it has another meaning. I think Dr. Sfara's vision is that we need many people of goodwill to get Lebanon back together. It's have to be outside this room. And it's been clear that our youth is our future. Education in work ethics and passion in Lebanon is the key to get the expansion back into Lebanon. So I'd like to ask Dr. Kapi Tanous to talk about the challenges and her experiences with this initiative, please.
Thank you so much. I echo as well the appreciation, but I thought I'd just take you through a little bit of the journey of getting a university institution involved in a program like this, some of the challenges, but also what did we experience, and then where to go from here. So it's a reflection, but also it's a forward-looking, and I'm going to end it up with a challenge as well to the people that are here, and a welcome challenge. When I was first approached to do something like this, I thought, well, in order to get the university students engaged, really engaged in not just visiting and having a great time in Lebanon, but try to understand what it means to work in Lebanon, you really have to sort of embed it into a unit of study. So within the university, we have at the undergrad and postgrad a unit whereby we send students and we embed them into an industry, and it's called an enterprise internship program. And we do it at the undergraduate, we do it a lot at the masters and PhDs. So I've got 5 PhD students from all over the world right now working within the industry for 3 years as part of their research. So when I was first approached, it wasn't a new idea. What was new was thinking about Lebanon in that context. And then second is actually convincing the university that Lebanon is safe to send the students and to send their academic for an extended period of time. So I think when I first mentioned it to my dean, he almost choked on his coffee. He said, really, you want to take students to Lebanon? Are you kidding me? And then after, sort of wearing him down, and I think the term that he uses now for me is I'm resilient. And I keep saying, yes, I'm Lebanese, I have to be resilient. So we've worn him down to the point where they finally approved this program. And then we began the process of marketing. And I think the part that really excited us was we had a very short window between when the students were going to start and when we started marketing. But the uptake, the response was spectacular. So all up, we ended up with 3 universities. So students from 3 separate universities throughout Sydney. So Sydney University, Macquarie Uni, as well as my university, University of Western Sydney, saying, yes, we want this opportunity. Second hurdle is, in Australia, we have something called the New Colombo Plan, whereby the government pays $3,000 to a student to go and do some work experience in India, in Laos, in Vietnam, Hong Kong, and so on. So I started digging around and we said, no, Lebanon is not, don't even think about it. It's not eligible. So I then had to convince the students 2 things. 1, to come to Lebanon for a month. 2nd, to self-fund, because there was no money available, unlike the NCP program. But you know what, within about 2 weeks, I had a fantastic turnaround. So we got the students interested, motivated, and when we came here, we had students who were doing 3rd and 4th year level students in business and finance, and we also had 2 students we were testing it out that were doing a master's program, one in the MBA and the other one in IT. And I thought that was fantastic. Now, again, the mix of languages, some spoke basic Arabic, and we had many who had no language capability, knew nothing about the culture, never been here, etc. what we ended up with was an amazing experience for all. So they were embedded with different divisions within the Bank of Beirut. And again, we're ever thankful for the managers and their colleagues that worked with them for that month. But all up, they fitted in brilliantly. They brought in fresh eyes. They brought in different perspective. They were there at 8:30 in the morning, even though it was an hour bus ride. They were there ready to go. They took it incredibly serious. And after a month, they also had to do the academic bit where I got them to think about exactly what they were doing, why they were doing it, and how they could add value. So I could say, it's not enough for you to take all this learning and then leave. I want you to give back and think about how you could improve given your experience, your knowledge, and having worked in Australia. And they've actually had to write a very detailed report with recommendations back to industry. Now, the idea behind this is almost, if you think of the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh, that actually came about from students, master's students, who were challenged with regards to how we can get the most disadvantaged, what program can be set up, and that's how the Grameen Bank microfinancing was born. So I had the same challenge to my students. Within your area, see how you can add value. And those reports were submitted today to the Bank of Beirut, to the various departments with those recommendations. And I keep saying, even if they choose one of the many that were given in the different departments, even if they modify slightly, then we've given back. Now, and in my report, in my critical analysis of this program, I actually believe that the students, and I'll let the student talk about his experience, but at the same time, I think the people who worked and who were touched by this program, so their colleagues, their mentors, the heads of departments, they got just as much out of it, I hope, and I believe, given all the feedback and all other research, they tend to get just as much from participating in the program as the students do, because they are getting this fresh eyes, this highly talented workforce to come in.
Can you get Anthony?
Yep.
So I had the luxury of working in the global departments section of the Bank of Beirut, and the experience was something that was exceptionally exciting for me when I first heard of it. It was exciting for me for many reasons. Particularly, I was excited at the idea of bringing Lebanese in Australia over and educating them on their culture, because what I noticed is that a lot of the diaspora in Australia do not have necessarily a complete understanding of the genuine Lebanese culture. And I find that it's very important for Australians and for the Lebanese Australians to have this understanding, especially for when Lebanon is able to take in more diaspora and to accept investments from diaspora, that they have this type of an understanding. So I particularly enjoyed working in the Global Equities department because of the people that I got to work with. I got to work under Christelle and Shadabil, who were in the private banking and research in those departments. And they were particularly supportive in terms of not only providing us with technical skills, but in terms of the skills that they provided us in understanding Lebanon from an ethical and historic perspective. You can often, I feel, when you try to talk to people about Lebanon, get many different perspectives depending on how they were raised or where they're from. But I found that with Christelle and Shadabil is that they provided an opinion that tried to weigh out both the negatives and the positives and tried to train our mind on being open to everyone's opinions in Lebanon, so that in the future, the generation to come, such as ourselves, are able to be more aware of the things that the past generations have done wrong.
And I guess couple of other very quick components. You saw from that video there was a lot of social aspects, so we did lots of hikes, which was wonderful, and lots of dinners out and so on. But actually that had another agenda behind it, another outcome as well. And that really solidified the friendships between our interns and the other interns within the Bank of Beirut, the Lebanese interns. And that friendship and that bond, we believe, will be sustained over time. So that continued exchange of dialogue will continue beyond this. The other aspect was the painting that you saw, which is a social intervention. So we spent some time at a drug and alcohol rehab center. And part of what we've embedded in the program now is that the students also give back to the youth of Lebanon as much as they got out of Lebanon as well. So when we go back on the 27th of September, so for all those Aussies that are here, please make a note in your diary to be there. We will be doing a fundraiser specifically for that. And the idea is it won't be myself, it's the youth, it's the young people who will be giving back and thinking about how they can also assist the youth of within Lebanon.
Can I ask Anthony a question? What's the feedback on logistics? You're travelling in Lebanon for work, and what students thought about that?
So it's obviously very different to Australia. I mean, we had to travel from Uzek, the dorms over there, into Beirut every day, which was about an hour to an hour and a half journey, depending on the traffic. And we had a lot of different events that happened along the way.
Oh, yes.
Not really sure which ones I should get into, but it was kind of exciting for us in a way because it made sure that we were awake when we got to work because there were always different issues that were always happening. But I think it's something that we learned to deal with, and it's something that was positive in the sense that it showed us how people that go to work have to experience it. And that's what they have to do. They have to journey from the villages, or they have to be based somewhere near Beirut, and they have to go through these struggles every day.
Okay, and I'd like to put a question which, based on this forum, a lot of the presentation's been excellent. It's talking about the youth and the issues of youth. Let's talk about the youth and the expansion and the academics. What's going to bring the youth to Lebanon? Is it listening to the resilience and the passion of people who love Lebanon? Or does Lebanon need to do more to show our students in the expansion how they can prosper? Because in Australia, all our politicians talk about a prosperous country. And we're not really hearing that. And that's a question that we need to ask our students in the expansion, and then our academics who will work with Lebanese academics in Lebanon to have curriculums to make that change. And I started saying that the change will happen in time when we have a lot of people of goodwill. And I think the purity is in our youth, and this must start now, and it could be 20, 30, 40 years that we'd be having a prosperous Lebanon. So can I ask both of you to comment on that, please?
I guess I'm very conscious of time, so I'll be very brief. In terms of the academic, what I'd also welcome is that greater connection between industry and academia. One of the things that we've heard during the forum, but we also hear through LIT, is that when our students graduate, we actually train them very well for academia, but not for industry. So increasingly what we're doing is we're embedding our students within industry, and we're doing it at various levels. And all I can say for industry is you know, in terms of what you get from it, and there's a number of models I can share with you. In Australia, we have something called cooperative research committees or councils. What they are is funded where master's, PhD students are embedded in industry to work on an issue with industry that they themselves don't have time to look at, or energy or knowledge, but then they get the student and they get the academic at very low cost. And if you think of the SMART system, which is used in NASDAQ, it was sold for $100 million. That was developed by a group of PhD students from Australia, and again, it's something that's being used all around the world. So those are real testaments to how these small internships can actually expand and where they can take, what they can produce.
So we believe that this work experience program this year was successful. We would like to ask Dr. Sfad and Sayyidina Tarabay that we would like to continue doing it. We would like to do it with other members of the expansion. We would like to use other universities in Australia and work with other businesses in Lebanon. And we
Thank
should
you.
do even better this year because we've got a year to plan it.
Thank you very much Australian delegation. نسمح بس سؤالين إذا ممكن حتى ما نتخطى. دكتور أيوب إذا ممكن تعطيه الميكرو. دكتور أيوب من أمريكا. إذا بتلاحظوا الimperative of education مثل الخريطة بتجمع العالم كله. The youth, the education. تفضل دكتور أيوب.
Yeah, In the United States, we have the NAM organization, which is the oldest Maronite organization in the United States, maybe in the world, 65 years old. Every year, we offer 14 scholarships to USAC and 10 to Notre Dame University here. From your perspective and experience, what can we do in order to fill those spots? We were never able to fill those spots.
It's a great question. I mean, we also, in terms of bringing students from Australia to Lebanon, or from Lebanon to Australia, and there's a question there, that's always a challenge. One of the things that we found, and I'm actually about to start that in the US, is we actually work with industry back in the country. They become students. So I've got a student right now who's going to start with me to do a PhD. He's in the US, and we're going to be joint supervision between myself at Western Sydney Uni in Australia and Southern Methodist University. He's working with one of the large insurance companies in the US, working on their data, using data analytics and machine learning for all those wonderful high-tech individuals here, to try to come up with risk indicators with regards to different disease factors. So we found that model works well because it keeps the student in their place of preference, and I guess for Lebanon, would keep the student here in Lebanon, working within Lebanon, but they will be getting an education which is supported, which is an international plus a domestic oversight. And in terms of the funding, this is where they will be fully funded in terms of a scholarship. So that student will receive $65,000 tax-free for 3 years each year in order to work on this. And this is co-funded between the universities or foundation and a separate entity. So this is a way to, if you think of the very clever young people that we've got in Lebanon, this is a way to give them that industry experience, that further education, but also keep them within Lebanon.
Thank you, thank you. Final question, please.
I have a point to add on that.
I have a question to both of you. As a
Okay.
teacher, when you started, you said that when you brought up the idea to the dean, he practically, because Lebanon was not the idea. So how, when you are back, how can you just restart this idea without having this reaction anymore? So what you can tell him, and for you as a student, before you came to Lebanon, what was your idea? And now if you want to promote Lebanon back there, how can you promote it to young people like you to convince them to come?
I'll answer very quickly on that. So in terms of getting approval for this, I had to do a risk assessment and put in all the potential risk that can arise from being in country. That's the first thing. And then I had to go through the various processes within the university. Now that we have a program, and part of what I had to do, which the students were not aware, is almost on every second day report back to my dean in all honesty about how things were progressing, and then do it very visually in terms of our own internal communication within the university. So now it's almost like anything, the first time you do something, I've broken, as they say, the taboo. So I think in terms of moving forward, it's a lot easier. The second is I won't be doing it alone. I've got these 9 wonderful ambassadors that when I ask the question, if we have 50, 60, if we have multiple numbers next year, I can't do this on my own. And they were all put up their hands saying, I would be happy to come. And I think that's a real testimony to the success of this program.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank W.
Do you mind if I just answer?
Excuse me,
Yeah,
excuse me.
sorry.
Go ahead, Bajani.
So I'll tie my answer to both questions, and I want to articulate it very clearly because when I proposed to people that I wanted to do an exchange at AUB, which I am doing for the next 6 months, it was something that came with a pretty negative reaction. People thought, why would you want to go to Lebanon and it's a country that everyone wants to leave? And it was something that I kind of had to rebel against. But I think that the way that you're going to get more diaspora to come back to Lebanon, especially the youth, is by firstly creating an environment that allows them to come back. Because the way that I see it at the moment is that it is something that a lot of foreigners have to rebel against to come back. You hear of many people that try to come back and try to conduct business, and if you're not raised here, it's very hard to. I mean, I can know the language, but I don't necessarily know the ethics. I don't know the way that things function. And many speakers, Gilbert spoke about it yesterday. It's something hard, and it's not going to really work unless we have that that basis that allows the diaspora to come back in. And then I think once the diaspora start to come back in, you'll see that there'll be a lot more dialogue that goes on between Lebanon and the rest of the world in terms of the youth will be more happy and it'll be more accepted for them to travel overseas because no one will be as scared that they won't want to come back. Because they'll see that if foreigners want to come back, then why wouldn't I want to come back to the place that I was raised?
Can I just add just a small note? Since we've done this program, because we've been very much active on social media, just putting up photos and so on, I now have already 4 applications for next year. It's now on the university website that Lebanon is the place that we take our interns. So I think much of those has already been broken because it's there. It's in black and
This has been
white.
the hardest year.
Yeah.
So
شكرا. بنتشكر WPF على هالمبادرة. بنتشكر يعني لاحظتوا التربية كيف شبكة تواصل عالمية، وبنتشكر هون سيادة المطران أنطوان شربل طرابي، الوفد كله من استراليا. كمان بنتشكر سيادة المطران عبد الله زيدان. دكتور أيوب حكي عن حوالي 24 منحة جامعية عم تنعطى سنويا لطلاب، وكمان بدنا نسمع الجانب الثاني من الكرة الأرضية من عند الوفد اللي مرافق المطران إدغار ماضي. بركي بنشوف كيف كمان الامبيراتيف اوف اديوكيشن ان برازيل، واللي رح يكون معنا هو مستر فرانسيس. تفضل. مثل ما قلنا مستر فرانسيس هو رئيس جامعة بساو باولو فيها 16 كلية، ونحن فخورين بوجودك معنا. تفضل على المنبر. خليكم قاعدين. هون.
يا صاحب الغبطة إليك تهيب، وللدكتور صفير كل الاحترام والتقدير، وأقول لكم تجمع يا وطني تجمع، فمرحى لأعراسكم تأتي، مرحى للمؤمنين الصابرين على فراش الزمن، بأن لبنان فعل إيمان وسر قيامة. شكراً لصاحب السيادة المطران ماضي، وأقول بأنه نحن معك تعلمنا أن نكون جسر تواصل بين لبنان المغترب ولبنان المقيم، ولسنا حاجزاً في تزكية خلافات اللبنانيين. وهنا يمكنني إلا أن أشكر هذا الوجه الإعلامي المضيء الدكتور كريستيان أوزي على تنظيم وترتيب هذا المؤتمر. الواقع أنا هاجرت من لبنان منذ ما يقارب 45 سنة، واللبنانيون أينما كانوا وتواجدوا كانوا أعلاما خفاقة في كل الميادين. كنت عضواً في المجمع البطريركي وقدمت أفكاراً كيف يمكن أن يبقى اللبناني في أرضه وأن يبقى المالوني في هذا الجبل صامداً. ونحن اليوم في كلية الحقوق في جامعة أونيسوز نعمل مع فريق من المحامين والخبراء في القانون الدولي كيف يمكن أن يدخل لبنان أو أن في الميركوسول السوق أمريكا الجنوبية، وبهذا يمكننا أن نصدر كل الإنتاج اللبناني إلى الأسواق أمريكا اللاتينية بدون ضرائب. البارحة قال لي رجل أعمال لبناني مقيم في البرازيل وهو حاضر معنا اليوم، الأستاذ أنطوان شديد، إذا تمكنا من دخول السوق أمريكا الجنوبية بأن يصل الإنتاج اللبناني بدون ضرائب، فأنا سأشتري كل إنتاج النبيذ اللبناني. وأنا أتكلم وهو حاضر معنا اليوم، لأنه اليوم أغلى مبيد بالبرازيل هم بيد اللبناني مرات ضرائب. ونبيد الشيلي بيبيعوه ب 1/10 من السعر النبيد اللبناني. ما أريد أن أقوله لكم وبطريقة موضوعية، سمعت كلاما اليوم وهذا الكلام كان آت عن خبرات وعن رجالات علم ورجالات لها خبراتها. ما أريد أن أقوله أو أطلب من هذا المؤتمر بحضرة نائب الرئيس الدكتور صفير أن يكون لنا دائرة قانونية تعمل في سبيل تطوير القوانين اللبنانية أو الإضاءة عليها لكي يأتي المستثمر الأجنبي إلى لبنان. يجب أن يكون لنا قوانين تحمي هذا الرأسمال الآتي إلينا. وأنا أمضيت 10 سنوات كأمينا عاما للجامعة اللبنانية الثقافية، أعرف وجع الاغتراب اللبناني. هناك آلاف من العائلات اللبنانية، وأقول أكثر، لا يوجد عائلة لبنانية واحدة في البرازيل إلا وعندها أملاك في لبنان. نحن ما يقارب 10 ملايين متحدر من أصل لبناني، ولنا في البرلمان الفيدرالي أكثر من 56 نائب فيدرالي. كل العائلات عندها مشاكل عقارية، وضع اليد على أملاكهم، زورت أو بيعت بطرق غير قانونية، ولا يمكن للمنتشر أن يأتي ليتقدم قانونيا باسترجاع حقوقه، لأنه إذا باع أرضه ما في يدفع للمحامي. كيف نعمل لمساعدة هذا المنتشر، هذا المغترب؟ هذه الدائرة القانونية ستتقبل العديد من الطلبات تنحل مشاكل هالناس. في الشق الأكاديمي، نحن اللبنانيون في البرازيل هم بطارقة الطب. أكبر أطباء في أي اختصاص هم متحدرون من أصل لبناني، ولكن حتى اليوم ما في تبادل خبرات. وبين الجامعات اللبنانية والجامعات في بلدان الانتشار ما في انتركمبيو في تبادل الطلاب وخبراتهم. يا دكتور صفير، البرازيل هي اليوم أكبر بلد في تكنولوجيا بالبانكينج. نحن فينا نعمل لجنة في تبادل الخبرات. أعطيت وقتا قصيرا، سأكتفي شاكرا. عنا العديد من الأفكار نقدر نوصلها. الشكر، كل الشكر للموجودين والحاضرين معنا.